Hi everyone! Today I have a very peculiar product to show you and possibly give some kind of review. This is a set of colored pencils by the brand called Superior. If you're a watercolor artist, you may have heard of this brand before as they have produced various watercolor products. Back to the pencils. The box looks a lot like the box from Caran Luminance, but when we take a look inside, the color code numbers correspond with Prismacolors. I'll be comparing color swatches towards the end. Let's start from the top. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to film the unboxing, but I did take some photos. Basically, it came with plastic shrink wrap that I had to remove before I could open the box. The box itself seems like it's made out of cardboard of some sort, maybe. I don't have the 150 set of Prismacolor, but it looks a lot like that. The back shows all the colors and code numbers. The opening flap is magnetic. Upon opening, what you see is what you get. There wasn't any protective foam or cushion or anything. There was and is some pencil dust on the inside cover, which I could easily wipe away. The tips of the pencils came already sharpened, but instead of sharp, pointy tips, it seemed like they were trimmed off to leave a blunt, cut-off tip. The other end of the pencil had been paint-dipped, or capped, whatever you want to call it. The barrel of the pencil itself has 3 gold lines about an inch from the bottom. The printing on the barrel is also gold and in big, thick font. This part says Artist's Color Pencils. Then we have a barcode and a series of numbers. This number is different on every single pencil, so I assume it might be the barcode number, which possibly implies that these may have been made with the option in mind of selling these individually open stock. Then we have some lines that look like the ticks on a ruler, and sure enough, you have a mini 10cm ruler on your colored pencils. Fascinating. And then this says Superior. And the last part here is the color code number. I don't have a measuring instrument, but the product listings online state that the core of these pencils are 3.8mm thick. The set I have here is the 120 color set, which is the largest they offer. I bought mine for about $15 US, and I think that was the shop's mistake because the listing I bought from on Lazada disappeared right after they shipped this to me. However, I found more listings on Taobao, and they seem to be selling this 120 set for about $35. This is the price they're selling in China, so if this product were to be sold in the US through Amazon, I would expect the price to be higher. These colored pencils also come in sets of 18, 24, 36, 48, and 72. I absolutely don't know if they're oil or wax-based. It's also a bit difficult for me to definitively say if it feels more like Prismacolor or Caran Luminance because, to be honest, I feel like these colored pencils are so inconsistent in their quality. I will say right off the bat that none of these felt similar to Prismacolor at all. However, some of these do feel similarly to Holbein pencils in terms of laydown and opacity, while others can feel a little bit like Polychromos in its laydown. And then there were a few pencils that were just hard and dry. I'd call that pretty inconsistent. Now let's talk about sharpening. For the most part, sharpening was all right. It was quite easy to get a sharp point. However, there were a few pencils that kept breaking on me to the point of, well, you can see for yourself that I ended up sharpening away so much of the pencils. As for crumbs, these pencils are obviously crumbly when you're doing some serious coloring. Though I did notice that some of them did not crumble as much, so that might be due to the difference in pigment to binder ratio or however pencils are made. Moving on to water solubility, apparently some Chinese-made colored pencils can sometimes be water soluble, but these Superior colored pencils are not. I used a wet brush to agitate the swatch and pulled pigment to the right side. As you can see, there is a bit of transfer, but I think we could all agree that compared to many others on the market, this would be considered water resistant. Next is the layering test. I saw this on Lindsay's channel, The Frugal Crafter. Since I'm still very much new to colored pencils, I'm not exactly sure how much pressure I'm meant to be using for each layer, but hopefully those of you who are more experienced than I am can see this and get a good idea of what the pencils are capable of. For reference, I started applying heavy pressure on about layer 7 and went into serious burnishing mode on layer 9 upwards. And my last test is this blending test. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to show you properly since I am a beginner, so I feel the need to let you know that I basically used a combo of blending techniques from Sarah Renee Clark and Jennifer from Coloring Bliss. Overall, I found the whole blending experience quite pleasant actually. They're not as soft and easily blendable as Prismacolors, but definitely easy enough for me as someone who prefers softer cores like Prisma. One major point I liked was that I could blend by burnishing. Alright, let's keep going, and I'm going to switch to a different footage for comparing the color swatches. Okay, so I'm in a new hiding space, as you can see from the background. Well, I'm not going to say much about it. Well, hopefully we won't get caught, okay? Anyway, so let's just get right into it. So before comparing the swatches, I have the swatches right here prepared, so I'll get into that in a bit. So this is actually the image that was on the listing that that I bought from, and also on Chinese websites as well, on Taobao. So as you can see, this is the product that we got, 3 tiers from what I showed earlier. And then what I saw was, now think about me when I was basically looking at the listing, trying to see if I want to buy the product or not. And I saw this color chart, and the first thing that came to mind was that the numbers are the same as Prismacolors. And the first thing that gave it away was the PC. And then basically what I did was, I was like, wait, aren't these the same numbers as Prismacolor? So then I googled the Prismacolor swatch chart or color chart, and I found this one that was sort of like the same, in the same order basically. And this is the Prismacolor chart for 150 colors, which is their whole range. And basically I matched it up, and of course this has 120 colors, right? So 30 colors are missing. And so what I did was I put them into the computer. Well, obviously they were in the computer, but I basically put these colors into this chart, so then I know which colors is in the set, and then the ones that are blank, left blank, are not included in the set. So this is what I got. Now I'm gonna tilt it this way, so then you could sort of, if you want me to scan this, let me know. Or if I'm able to, I'll put this at the end, and then you could take a look for yourself. So basically, these blank ones here, okay, the circle ones are ones that are not included in the 120 color superior color pencils set. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, so basically that's it. Oh, and then one thing that I want to note is these squared or these rectangular ones, the ones that I've put in boxes here, okay? As you can see, do you see this? It says peach, but why is the swatch blue? Now, I did not do anything wrong, so I'll let you see here. PC939, the swatch is blue, right? So I put the blue swatch here on PC939, but in the Prismacolor chart, it's peach. Now this happens again with 3 other colors: Blue Violet Lake, Moss Green, and Slate Gray. And what I noticed was Slate Gray's color looks pretty much like a coral color or a peachy color, and this is a blue color. So Slate Gray is supposedly a blue-gray color, so I assume these two may have to be switched. And then these two here, moss green and blue violet lake. These square swatches seem like, you know, they should be swapped as well. So basically I put boxes in for those 4 colors to sort of like, you know, when I get the product, I'll keep in mind about these 4 that may be problematic. And they were problematic, so I'll let you know in a bit. So this is the chart when basically I printed this chart when I got the color pencils themselves. I immediately swatched it out on this as well as this from Coloring Bliss. Yeah, from Jennifer's website, Coloring Bliss. So this was not helpful to me at all because it wasn't in the same order, and then I don't know. So we just won't talk about this, okay? Because it's a great chart, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't for me. But yeah, so I swatched on this and I felt like it wasn't enough to show you guys. So what I did was I swatched it out on these, and these are also by Jennifer, from Coloring Bliss. Okay, yeah, sorry about it being cut off. My printer didn't print correctly. Anyways, so I swatched it out on these 2 sheets here. Okay, yeah, so it's the Prismacolor color chart. But since the color numbers are the same, I thought I might as well just swatch it out onto these. So yeah, I'll need to relabel these as superior, otherwise I'll forget. But yeah, so what I want to do today with you is to basically compare the swatches to the Prismacolor 150 set. Oh, other than swatching on white, I also swatched on black. Now what I did was basically, so this was the paper. What I did was get the blank black piece of this paper, and then I put it right below here. So then there's like a little bit of tab here and a little bit of tab here. And then when I swatched, what I did was swatch up here and then swatch down here, swatch up here and then swatched down here. So then basically it's all in that order. And so here, that's what you see here. If I put it up above, would that be easier for you? So yeah, so as you can see, I swatched each one accordingly. I didn't label the black because that's just too much writing for me, too much prep. I think this is fine, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you guys as well. Okay, so before we get into that, you're gonna wonder, where am I gonna get 150 colors of Prismacolor if I don't have it? If you have been following me and my color pencil journey, then you'll, oh sorry, my shadow is like making everything dark. I'm so sorry about that. Anyways, so if you've been following my journey, I'll link some videos down below. So I actually got this swatch chart from Lark, a viewer of mine, and she was really nice to swatch these out for me. So I'm going to be using this to compare basically. Okay, so let's get started. So this is the actual 150 color set from Prismacolor. As you can see, Lark labeled it very clearly. So there's 1, 2, 3 pages, and then also on the back here, okay? Okay, so her setup is a bit different from mine, but I'll try my best to... Actually, you know what? Give me a minute and I'll cut these up. All right, I'm back with these swatches all cut into strips to be able to compare them easier. Okay, so here we are. So these strips are my strips of the swatches of the superior colored pencils, and these sheets of paper are the actual Prismacolor colored pencil swatches. Okay, all right, let's do white, swatch on white first. Let me zoom in. So I'm going to zoom this in like this, and hopefully we'll be able to see clearly the colors. So please ignore the ones on black for now and focus on the white swatches, okay? All right, so the first one here is Cream and Cream. The Prismacolor one is obviously like a lot lighter, And then this one is much more saturated. Here, eggshell and eggshell. Again, superior is a lot more like vibrant and not as pastel. 184 ginger root. So it seems like the ginger root color is different, but if you get the Prismacolor, if you get this Prismacolor and compare it to the superior, it looks a lot like the artichoke, right? Okay, next up we have Deco Yellow here, and this one. As you can see, this one is a lot more, how do I say? Well, this one, so far we can see that all these like soft pastel-y colors are true to color for Prismacolor, whereas these superior colors are not pastel at all. They need a lot more white to be equivalent to the Prismacolor colors. Okay, Lemon Yellow. Again, same thing. You could quite see it clearly there that it's different. Canary Yellow. Canary Yellow is, you know what? I'm looking at my lighter swatch on this side. This was a bit burnished. These two look pretty similar. Yellowed Orange. I think for the Prismacolor one, it looks slightly more towards yellow, and this one up here leans more orange. And Jasmine, again, Prismacolors is a lot more like pastel. But if we look, sorry about that, if we look down here, the superior color Jasmine is similar to the yellow ochre. Interesting. And then no yellow ochre, Spanish Orange. This one seems more yellow. Goldenrod, actually pretty similar in hue on like this lower, the lighter colored part. Skip. Mineral Orange actually looks spot on in real life. On camera this looks more orange, but in real life it does look quite like, it's a pretty good match. Okay, next up we have, where are we? Orange. This one is more vibrant. Pale Vermilion. I'd say this one is more orange. Cadmium Orange hue is a pretty good match. Pumpkin Orange, this one is more orange, this one is more, seems more brown. Poppy Red, Carmine Red. You know what? It's actually a pretty good match. Permanent Red is also a pretty good match. Scarlet Lake. This one's a bit more brown. Crimson Red, a pretty good match. Crimson Lake. Oh no, this isn't Crimson Lake. I drew an arrow here because it's supposed to be pomegranate. So this one, these two, I'd say this is more vibrant and this is duller. Okay, Magenta, nope. Process Red. Oh, Process Red is actually, Process Red is actually a good match. Mulberry as well, also a pretty good match. Hot Pink, this one is more vibrant, this one seems duller. Next, where were we? Pink. Here we are. So, pink. These two, pink. This one is a beautiful color, but it's not a good match at all. I'd say this one leans more blue, this one leans more red. And then Nectar, you know what? I'd say this is more brown, this is more, has more white in it. So again, with the same theme, Prismacolors pastels tend to look more pastel than the superior colors. Do they look okay enough? I guess if you buy superior colors and add like a layer of white, then you can get the Prismacolor colors. Okay, next up is blush pink. Again, these are so much more saturated. Pink rose. Hey, you know what? The base color is pretty like similar. If you add white, definitely you can get pink rose. Again, much more saturated. The blush pink as well, like it's the same hue, but not enough white. It's just too saturated. All right, Deco pink, again, too saturated. Deco peach. These four are really nice. Like the hues match, but they just don't have enough white in them. Okay, next up we have light peach. Again, too dark, not enough white. Peach beige, not enough white. Seashell pink. This looks a bit more green. This looks a bit more brown. Sorry about that there. When I was swatching, I wasn't really paying attention. Anyways, moving on to salmon pink. Again, too vibrant. Beige. Yeah, too saturated. Peach. I'd say this one is more orange. This one leans a bit more red. And again, not enough white. Rosy beige. Oh, rosy beige is actually one of the colors. Both rosy beige and clay rose, these two were two of the colors that I've been thinking about purchasing open stock to add to my collection, because I really like this like rosy, well, it's not really rosy pink, but it's like a muted pink basically, and I'm really into that. Anyways, the hues match. The hues match, but again, these are too saturated. Beige sienna as well. Actually, you know what? Beige sienna is a pretty good match. Yeah, okay. First page done. Second page. Do I go this way? I'll go this way to keep it consistent. All right, so chestnut. Sorry, when I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep the paper steady, so try not to look at my fingers too much. I'm so sorry about that. I know it's misleading, but yeah, you know what I mean. So chestnut, I'd say is actually a pretty good match. And then raspberry is a pretty good match. Mahogany red, also a pretty good match. Dark purple does not look like a good match. This one is a lot more dark, as you can see clearly. The camera shows quite accurately. Black, hang on, where am I? Black cherry? Black cherry, here we go. Black cherry and black cherry. Pretty good match. I'd say this is more purple though, and this is heavy on the black. Grade lavender, a pretty good match. On camera, it looks like this one is more like a vibrant grade lavender, and this looks more dull, but in real life it looks pretty similar, so yeah. Lavender, a pretty good match. Lilac, pretty good match as well. Interesting. Not dahlia purple. I swatched that wrong. I was swatching black grape on the dahlia purple. Anyway, black grape. Black grape, I'd say for Prismacolor, it looks like a dark purple. Like it's obviously it's a dark color, but you can still see the purple. But for Superior, it looks very much like a black with a small hint of purple that if I didn't know it was black grape, I would have thought that it was just black. Okay, violet, pretty good match. Imperial violet, pretty good match, although I feel like this one is less saturated, or like less pigmented somehow. Yeah, okay. Next we have Oh, I should have cut down. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to superior colors, this strip being on the bottom. Okay, blue violet is a pretty good match, although I feel like this one is a bit too saturated, not pastel enough. And then skip violet blue, indanthrone blue, completely different colors. This is a lot more violet, this is a lot more blue. And now we have ultramarine, and as you can see quite clearly that this one is darker than this one, so this one is more vibrant. Cobalt blue, different colors. This looks almost like the ultramarine, so yeah. Next, Copenhagen blue. I'd say it's a pretty good match. Electric blue, this one is duller and more saturated. Denim blue is a pretty good match. True blue is, this is darker, yeah, darker. Sky blue light, again, more saturated, not like, needs more white. And moving on, light cerulean blue is, yeah, again, too dark, too saturated, needs more white. Now let's go to, oh, here, okay. I am blind today. Alright, cerulean blue and cerulean blue. I'd say, sorry, I'm moving this down because somehow I feel like there's shadow here. Okay, so cerulean blue, this one, and this one, seems like a pretty good match. Mediterranean blue, this one and this one, pretty good match as well. Peacock blue, also a pretty good match. Next up, we have powder blue. Okay, I'm moving this back to the top now since the cutting of the swatch sheet is a lot better. So yeah, so powder blue, pretty good match. Again, Prismacolor has more white, is more of a pastel color. Caribbean blue, the hue is very similar, but needs more white. Periwinkle, same, needs more white. Cloud blue also needs more white. Blue lake, I'd say the hue is a bit different. This leans a bit violet. This still is a blue. No blue slate. Okay, indigo blue. I'd say if this was burnished, then it could get that dark. So like the hue itself looks to be a good match. Non-photo blue, no, this is a lot more vibrant. This is a bit duller. Light aqua, this feels more vibrant. Aquamarine, I'd say this is a darker green. Yeah, this leans more green, and which makes this one also leans the slightest bit greener, but these three as a trio looks very good together and very similar to these three. Okay, so next up, light green, a pretty good match. Parrot's green, good match. Green, gray green. This one is, the Prismacolor one is barely noticeable, but for this one, as you can see, you can see the green color. So I'd say more white would be good. This one, yeah, again, too saturated, needs more white. All right, on to the last page. Well, I guess this page, and we have a bit at the end. Chartreuse, these two. Too green. Yeah, too green. This is more yellow. Lime peel. This is more of a green, like a green, whereas this one looks more like a yellow brown green, sort of, yeah. Moss green, good match. Green ochre, good match. Spring green, good, well, no, this is a bit darker. This is a lot more vibrant, yeah. Not a lot more vibrant. This one is more vibrant than this one, yeah, okay. Apple green, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good match. Sap green light, also a pretty good match. Kelly green, different, very different. This one seems like there's some white in it, whereas this one just looks like a forest green somehow. Moving on to olive green, pretty good match. Dark green is also a pretty good match. Kelp green, not a good match. This one is more yellow. This one feels like there's more black, yeah. Sandbar brown, I'd say this one feels more like it leans towards like a yellow brown, whereas this one feels more like a chocolatey brown. It is similar but not the same. No sepia, marine green, pretty similar, yeah, good match. All right, next row. How do you say this? Celadon green. Again, with these pastels, the hue is pretty accurate, but the superior pencils are definitely like much more vibrant. They need more white. Same with the jade green. Muted turquoise, same thing. Peacock green is actually a good match. Yeah, well done. Putty beige. I'd say this leans a bit more gray, whereas this leans a bit more like a beige brown. Light umber, pretty good match. Chocolate is, yeah, you know what? It's a pretty good match. Burnt ochre is also a pretty good match. Sienna brown. I'd say this, if you're in the watercolor world, this looks like a burnt sienna, and this looks like a brown ochre. Sorry, burnt sienna, burnt umber, sort of. Where this feels a bit more vibrant, this feels a bit more brown. Hope that makes sense. And then we have henna. Sorry. Henna is actually a good match. Tuscan red is also a good match. Interesting. I'm quite happy with my purchase now that I'm doing these comparisons. Dark umber. Where's dark umber? Okay, dark umber, pretty good match. Dark brown, pretty good match. Wow. Warm gray 30. Where's this? Warm gray 30. Warm gray 30. You know what? Yeah, I think this needs more white. And then let's go to warm gray 50. Warm gray 50. I'd say that's a pretty good match. Warm gray 70, not a good match. The superior colors seems to go like, it's a lot darker now. Like, if you see for Prismacolor, warm gray 70 and 90, there's like, I wouldn't say there's a big difference, but there's an obvious difference. However, for superior colors, 30%, 50%, 70 and 90. 70 and 90 look exactly the same. So yeah, keep that in mind. Cool gray 10%. Hey, that actually matches for once. And then we come to cool gray 50. That matches quite nicely. Cool gray 70, that also matches. Cool gray 90, that matches. Beautiful. And then we have the last one here. I need to flip the page. All right, so black is black. It matches up pretty nicely. French gray 30%. French gray 30% also matches up quite well. French gray 50%. Superior is darker, needs more white. 70 as well, it needs a bit more white. 90 matches up pretty good, pretty well. Slate gray, again, as you can see, it's like that blue gray. However, Prismacolors looks more like a blue gray, you know, whereas this one looks like a gray blue. Like, it's obviously that it's blue, but this one, you see it and you're like, oh, it's a gray, but it's a gray that leans blue. But this is like a muted blue, you know what I mean? Okay. But essentially it's the same hue, so just add white to this and you should probably get a good slate gray. White, we'll compare it on black in a bit. Metallic silver, metallic gold, and bronze. It shines. I mean, like, can you see that? So the silver one doesn't shine as much as the gold and the bronze, but hopefully you could see that it does shine a bit. I'm not sure if it shines. Yeah, it's probably not as good as Prismacolor. Yeah, okay. And then these neons were not in the set. All right, so we're done with the white on white comparisons. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through all of the on black comparisons, but let's see if we can do some rows so that you could get an idea of how opaque these colors are. So again, like, as you can see, these don't line up perfectly because for Larks it's like white, black, but mine it's all black, right? So just, you know, have an idea of like how opaque these are compared to how opaque these are. The thing is I wasn't the one doing these swatches, so the pressure might be different, but hopefully you could see that the opacity is quite similar, but some obviously aren't as opaque. For example, these red and orange colors here. How should I do this? I'll do it like that so you could see some of these oranges here are quite similar. However, these ones don't really show up, but the ones that are like pastel-y kind of show up. But they are similar to the Prismacolors on black. So I'd say overall, like these here on black, oh wait, no, this one, probably this one. So they do look similar on black. Let's see, let's take a look at these more pastel colors. I think they show up on black quite well compared to Prismacolors. Like, I mean, look at that. They show up well, don't they? They show up similarly. Yeah. So overall, I'd say I'll show you these other swatches as well. Sorry, I'm gonna move this down here to okay, I don't know which order this is in anymore. But like, there you go. So you can see that some of these are just like, you know, it depends on the color itself, because not all of Prismacolors are like nice on black. Oh, let's compare the white. We should compare the white. So as you can see, like some colors just don't do well on black, but that's because they're more translucent in nature. So yeah, but overall they do well on black. Like, they're opaque, which I'm really happy about. Okay, so let's compare white the Prismacolor white and the Superior white. So Prismacolor. This sheet is Prismacolor, and this is my sheet, my strip swatch. So here, so if you can see, this one matches up with slate blue, and then this is the white. Okay, you know what, I'd say like with heavy pressure, I feel like this is also heavy pressure. As you can see, the Superior white actually does better. But I do feel like if the Prismacolor one was burnished, like added some more heavy pressure or like more layers, it may get up to that level. So yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, love these shiny ones. So yeah, that's my comparison for the swatches. I will say though that so I forgot to touch on this sheet of paper where I said like, oh, I needed to look out for like these. I'll talk about these two. How about that? So yeah, so apparently all of the colors did come according to the numbers. However, these the 4 in the boxed ones that I told you about earlier, they are indeed like the number on the pencil was 1079, but the pencil, the barrel of the pencil, if I remember, I'm gonna put like a clip here as I'm talking. So the number is correct, 1079 according to the chart. However, the pencil itself, the barrel is green. So for example, this one, the pencil itself is green, and it colors out as moss green. And then if we come to look at this, the pencil, the number on the pencil is 1097, which is supposed to be moss green, but the whole pencil is the color of blue violet lake. So that's very interesting. I wonder why they did that. Like, is that maybe something they have to do to not be sued by Prismacolor for copying basically their product? I don't know, but yeah. So just to let you know that those are so here, that these so slate gray and peach need to be swapped. Blue violet lake and moss green also need to be swapped if you get the set. Alright, I think that's all for this portion of the video. I'll go back to my voiceover. Now that you've heard me talk for so long about these colored pencils, I really should draw a conclusion. However, I don't really feel qualified enough to recommend one way or the other. But I will tell you how I feel about these pencils, and hopefully you can come to your own conclusion for yourself. Realistically, as a product, would I buy this set again? Personally speaking, probably not. Now hear me out. I actually really love these pencils. The ones that feel like Holbein are great. It's not too hard, and I'm able to put pigment down without much effort. If I wanted to blend it by burnishing, I could. It's water resistant, so I can use it to sketch underwater color, and also opaque enough to use on top of dried watercolor washes. But it's the inconsistent quality factor that I'm not happy with. This set that I got had roughly about 20 to 30 pencils out of 120 that were super hard, dry, or scratchy. That's about 20% of the whole set. For the record, I did sharpen these pencils prior to testing them. So with that in mind, I feel like if up to 5% of the pencils were inconsistent to the rest, I can chalk it up to quality control or that sort of thing. However, personally speaking, 20% feels a lot to me if I were to think about purchasing something only to have 80% be worth it while the other 20% isn't up to par. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this set at the moment. I really don't know what I was thinking when I was buying this. I blame it on my colored pencil craze that I've been going through lately. I really should have listened to my inner self that said no more buying budget supplies. I must value quality over quantity. Although, since most feel similar to Holbein, I'm happy to keep some to use for practice. My Prismacolors that my pencil friend gifted me is just way too precious for me to just use willy-nilly. Anyway, just to remind you, I am very much still a beginner when it comes to colored pencils, so please take this review with a grain of salt. And that's all I have for you today. As always, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to drink lots of water and stay hydrated.